Preflight is a term used in the print industry to make sure everything that you need is ready for the press or ready to be printed. In this document, I've switched to the Printing and Proofing workspace, and the first thing I'll notice in the lower left corner is that I have two errors. If I click on the arrow to the right of those two errors, I can bring up the Preflight panel, which has been built into InDesign since CS4. The first thing I'll notice is that I have a modified link. So if I click the expand triangle next to links and expand again to see which one is modified, the girl PSD is flagged. I'll click on the page number to the right and it brings me to that image. I can actually click right on the hazard symbol on the image to update it, and you'll see that there's been a brightness change on the image. The second thing I'll notice is in text, I have overset or overflow text. And if I expand all the way down, on page 3, if I click the page number, I'll see that there's a little red plus sign here, meaning there is more text there that I can't see. So I'll grab the bottom middle of this frame and pull down, and I revealed that last line that was being cut off. Now, Preflight says everything's okay at this point, but unfortunately it's only checking for those two things, missing or modified images and text overflow. There are many other areas you may want to check for, so for that reason I've included a Preflight profile of my own that will check for a multitude of things that could go wrong before it goes to a printing press. So I'll start by hitting the panel menu on Preflight and choosing Define Profiles. And down at the bottom on the left, I can choose Load Profile. In your Chapter 9 folder, you should notice a Prepress Preflight InDesign Preflight profile. I'll hit Open, and you'll see that I'm checking for many different things. Missing or modified links. In color, I'm not allowing more than one spot or Pantone color. I'm also checking for quality concerns like overprinting applied to white, meaning if an object is white and it's set to overprint, it may vanish altogether. Or the color registration, which would output on every separation. I'm also checking for image resolution. I have a minimum resolution for quality control and a maximum, which may mean it's still okay, but it just might take longer to output. And a lot of things in text, overflow text, missing fonts, certain types of fonts that may cause output issues, minimum type size, multiple inks, which could cause registration issues where one ink will go one direction, the other ink will go the other direction, and it'll make it look out of focus. So this is a good pre-press profile that should work for most documents going to a printing press. Once I click OK and switch the profile of this document to pre-press, you'll see it did find 3 other problems with images and objects. And if I want this profile to travel with the document, I can embed it into this file. I'll expand images and objects, and if I click on image resolution, this blue lock begin on page 3. If I select it, it's going over my recommended 800 pixels per inch to 1200. That's probably because it was scaled down so much, so I may let that go because it's not a low quality issue. The next one is this Costa Rica sign. Again, it's higher than the 800, but that isn't a poor quality issue, so I'll let it go. But this last one of the line I will need to fix. So I'll click the page number, and it's telling me that the minimum stroke weight should be at least 1/10 of a point. Mine is 5/100th of a point. So I'll change the stroke value to 0.1 on the control panel at the top of the screen, press Return or Enter, and that issue went away. Now I'm ready to collect all of my assets to deliver over to the print shop. So I'll come back to page 1, and before I collect everything, I will do a Save As, and I'll call this my end file. and I'll choose File, Package. With Package, InDesign will check the entire publication. I can look at all fonts used, and they're all the Type 1, the preferred OpenType, fully cross-platform font technology that is preferred for high-end printing and publishing or prepress. In Links and Images, it warns me that all of my images are RGB, but I typically do my CMYK conversions when I PDF. And most print shops today will not charge you to convert that RGB to CMYK. This way my images can go to digital publishing, devices, or the web and be used for high-end print. So although it does flag the RGB color space, I know today that is okay. 5 to 10 years ago, that may be an issue. In colors and inks, I have no extra Pantones or spot colors, and I don't normally check the print settings because the print shop is going to change it to their device. So I'll click Package, and it builds this instructions file for me, where I've entered my contact information, my company information, and my email address, and I could put RGB to CMYK when you PDF. And I'll click Continue, and I'll go straight to my desktop, and I usually check everything on. If I have hidden layers or non-printing content, collect those fonts anyway to make sure it doesn't stop the job. Show me the report of everything that it collects when it's finished. And copy all linked graphics and make sure everything's up to date. So I'll hit Package. It warns me that legally the person receiving this file needs to own the fonts before you can pass them along. I've stuck with fonts that are included with the Creative Suite, so anyone who owns InDesign owns these fonts, and it's safe to send my model year along to them. Fonts are licensed by their model year. When Adobe made Times in 1990, they updated it in 1994, changing the kerning, the tracking, the character width, and character spacing information. So that may affect your text flow. This way, you're sending the font you're using on your machine, so the print shop can make sure that's what's used to output your file. So I'll hit Don't Show Again and click OK. And then I'll get a report of the package date, my contact information, my special instructions, all the fonts used, all the colors used, and all the links. And at the very bottom, an itemized list of the few things that it collected, the InDesign document and the fonts. But if I hide others here and take a look at that folder, inside the folder is also a links folder and all the images that they need to output my entire job. So if I come back to InDesign, that is using the printing and prepress workspace to check for any quality issues related to the press, and File Package. Package should always be done whenever a file leaves your system. Sending just the InDesign document won't be enough for them to output it. You need all the placed images, and you need to make sure that they're using the type that you've got loaded on your machine, not the fonts that they have loaded on theirs. And this is essential information for anyone doing print or prepress work.